Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in Memphis, Tennessee, or rather the East Memphis section, and I am at Memorial Park Cemetery. It's a very huge cemetery. Several notable graves are here, as well as many others, such as politicians and our fallen heroes, and those who have fought in United States conflicts. But in this episode, I'm going to show you some rock legends that are buried here. And 4 of them are enshrined in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. And then there's a few notable ones I'd also like to show you because there's a lot of interesting information about them. So I'm going to go ahead and start the tour. Here we go. All right, first on the list is one of the most important blues musicians of all time, Bobby Bland, also known as Blue or Bobby Blue Bland. And on the gravestone it says Robert Calvin Bland, lived from 1930 to 2013. He was a singer-songwriter and wrote a lot of hit songs such as Turn on Your Love Light, and one of my favorites, I Pity the Fool. He had a lot of hits on the Billboard R&B chart, but he also recorded songs such as Call on Me, Ain't Nothing You Can Do, It's My Life Baby, and Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City. He did briefly serve in the U.S. Army. He was inducted into both the Blues and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1981 and 1992 respectively. He also received a Lifetime Achievement Award, Grammy that is, in 1997. He passed away after a long, serious illness. Let's see what it says. Ain't got something, ain't he something? Ooh, ooh, I know my God is something. Recorded by Bobby Blue Bland. Loving husband of Willie Mae Martin Bland, doting father of Patrice Moses and Roderick Bland. We will always love you forever in our hearts. Rest in peace, Mr. Bobby Bland. And here in the mausoleum part, we are going to visit the most famous record man of all time, Mr. Sam Phillips. A little challenging to find, but here is his final resting place. It's got the Sun Studio logo on it. I'm not sure if it was permanently engraved on there for instance a sticker, but there are guitar picks and coins on his name. But yes, he is credited with discovering a then unknown Elvis Presley. He was a DJ before he started to get into the record business. He was a producer, obviously a label executive, and a rock and roll pioneer in his own right. He founded the Sun Records label here in Memphis, and he was also credited with discovering not only just Elvis, but a bunch of others such as Jerry Lee Lewis, Johnny Cash, and many others, Carl Perkins too. He produced Presley's first record in 1954, the That's All Right. And he later sold Presley's contract to RCA Victor for only $35,000, and that was in late 1955, but that was the label Elvis went with for the rest of his life. But later in life, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a non-performer in 1986, as well as the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2001. And buried below him is his son, Samuel Knox Phillips, a little photo of him, who lived from 1945 to 2020. But rest in peace to the Phillips. Continuing on in the mausoleum part is another Rock and Roll Hall of Famer by the name of Donald V. Dunn, but who is also known as Donald Duck Dunn. I know it's kind of hard to see in the light, but let me stand back a little bit. Okay, now you can kind of see it. He lived from 1941 to 2012. He was born here in Memphis, and he passed away in Tokyo, Japan. But he was one of the most well-known bass players of all time, and he was notable for his work as a session musician at Stax, but he was a part of Booker T and the MGs, which specialized in a lot of Southern soul and Memphis soul music styles. But Dunn also performed on recordings with Muddy Waters, Freddie King, Neil Young, the Blues Brothers, Eric Clapton, Tom Petty, Sam and Dave, Rod Stewart. The list goes on and on. I mean, it's a long resume. But he also appeared in movies such as The Blues Brothers, where he played himself. He received a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2007 for his work with Booker T and the MGs. But he died in his sleep in Japan on tour several days after falling while exiting a tour bus. And once more, get a look at it's above Belgrav's. The lights kind of. But rest in peace, Donald Duck Dunn. And here is another Elvis Presley related figure, Red West, who lived from 1936 to 2017. He was an actor and stuntman, as well as one of Elvis Presley's bodyguards and close friends, and he was also one of Elvis's stuntmen as well. But he was born Robert Gene West, and he went to the same high school, Humes High School here in Memphis, with Elvis. And from what I've read, how they became friends was Elvis, I don't want to say he was wimpy, but he was not athletic. He didn't really fight back against bullies, but I read somewhere where he was trapped in a bathroom and these guys were going to gang up on him, and in comes a big burly dude named Red West, who stands up for Elvis, and and ever since then they were good friends for the rest of Elvis's life. But he was a high school football star. He was also later a Golden Globes boxer and karate instructor. And then he inhabited his career in entertainment during the late 1950s with bit roles in film and TV. He was in many of Elvis's movies such as Kid Galahad, Harem Scarum, Viva Las Vegas. And he was also a stuntman as well as an actor on the TV show Wild Wild West, which ran from 1967 to 1969. He was also good friends with the series star Robert Conrad, which led to West being cast in the recurring part of Sergeant Micklin in the show Black Sheep Squadron, which was a short-lived TV show. But for the rest of his life, he remained busy. He was also in the movie Roadhouse, which, as we know, starred Patrick Swayze in 1989. And then on his gravestone it says, "That's a wrap." And somebody left a penny there. Rest in peace, Red West. Here is the final resting place of Robert Lawrence Welch Jr., also known as singer-songwriter Bob Welch, who lived from 1945 to 2012. He tragically committed suicide at the age of 65, but he was born in Hollywood, California, and died in Antioch, Tennessee. But Welch was a guitarist and vocalist for Fleetwood Mac from 1971 and 1974. After that, he formed the British rock group Paris in 1976, and then went on with a solo career the rest of the 70s decade and had hits like Ebony Eyes and Sentimental Lady. But apparently, towards the end of his life, he was having health issues. I mean, I'm part of this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame group, like the Hall Watchers, and we never really debate on this because we all agree that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame failed to induct Mr. Welch, because I do think he played a big part of the band. Now, the so-called classic lineup of Buckingham Nicks, John and Christy McVie, as well as, of course, Mick Fleetwood, and I think Peter Green is also, who was one of the early members, is also inducted with him. But I do hope that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame notes that omission, that Bob Welch should be included. I mean, for one of my favorite Fleetwood Mac songs that was not part of that classic lineup was Hypnotized, and Bob Welch sings the lead vocals on that song. The Pointer Sisters also did a great version of that song as well. But Bob Welch's version still gets played all the time, especially on SiriusXM's classic vinyl. Definitely give it a listen sometime. I mean, this is like the side of Fleetwood Mac you probably have never heard. Definitely. But get this guy into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, people. Rest in peace, Bob Welch. And here is a gentleman who died at a young age. I mean, he was in his 50s, but he was 52 as a matter of fact. I'm sorry, 62. Charlie Rich, and that was his real name. I thought it was his stage name at first, but it was Charles Allen Rich. He was born in Colt, Arkansas in 1932 and passed away in Hammond, Louisiana. And like Elvis and Carl Perkins and Johnny Cash and Jerry Lee Lewis, he started out on the Sun label here. But he joined the U.S. Air Force and he married his longtime love, Margaret, who's also buried here. She passed away in 2010. But he is mostly famous as a country singer, but he also had a lot of pop crossover hits. He hit #1 with The Most Beautiful Girl, as well as songs like Every Time You Touch Me, I Get High, Sunday Kind of Woman, a very special love song. His nickname was the Silver Fox, and he had a lot of country albums chart as well. His song Behind Closed Doors won 3 awards from the CMA in 1973. He also won for Best Male Vocalist, Album of the Year, and Single of the Year. He also had a drinking problem, and that also caused considerable problems off stage. His destructive personal behavior famously culminated at the CMA Awards ceremony in 1975, when he was the presenter of the award for that year's Entertainer of the Year. Instead of reading the name of the winner, who was John Denver, he set fire to the envelope with a cigarette lighter. Many considered it an act of rebellion against the Music Row-controlled Nashville sound. Others, such as the industry insiders, were outraged, and Rich had trouble having hits during that year in 1976. He appeared as himself in the 1979 Clint Eastwood movie Every Which Way But Loose, where he would perform that song I'll Wake You Up When I Get Home. And that would be his last top 10 single on the country music charts on Billboard. But during the 80s, he was silent, living off his investments in semi-retirement and only playing an occasional concert here and there. His final album was released 3 years before his death in 1992, called Pictures and Paintings. But rest in peace, Mr. Silver Fox, Charlie Rich. And here is the 4th Rock and Roll Hall of Famer I'm going to show you, Mr. Isaac Hayes. Hot Buttered Soul. Man, this cat, he's a bad mother. Shut your mouth. Oh yeah, Isaac Hayes, he wanted to be remembered by a lot of things, I'm sure. Somebody left behind a guitar pick. But a little backstory, he recorded a lot of albums. Many of them went gold or platinum from the late 1960s to the 80s. He had one of the best Grammy performances of all time with the theme from Shaft, which went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and R&B chart. But he really wanted to be the actor in the movie Shaft, having some acting experience. But Richard Roundtree ended up getting the part of Shaft, but still, Isaac Hayes, he wanted to remain involved in the project. And it is said, I mean, one can say that the music did a lot better than the movie, which was remade in 2000 with Samuel Jackson taking over the lead as Shaft. And for all those South Park fans out there, yes, he was the voice of Chef. And he went to #1 on the UK chart and win that character with a song called Chocolate Salty Balls, which didn't make very impact here in the United States. But he quit his association with the show because they were spoofing his religion, Scientology, and he knew it was a satire show, but he just felt like he felt like he had to part ways with the show. Anywho, He was also known for his big spending habits, behind the music that is, but of course I won't get into that. But he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and his music will live on. I'm going to kind of start at the top here, see what y'all can see. Rest in peace, Isaac Hayes.